Good afternoon. Myself Dr. Priyadarshini, Environmental Science Department. Today we are going to discuss second semester MSc program Marine and Wetland Management, Unit 1 Marine Ecology. Marine ecology is a branch of biology that focuses on the study of interaction between the living organism and the ocean and their physical and biological environment. Marine productivity is a critical aspect of marine ecology that refers to the amount of organic matter produced by the organism in the ocean. In ocean, we can see two types of productivity. One is primary productivity, another one is secondary productivity. Primary productivity is the amount of organic matter produced by the primary producers. Another productivity is the secondary productivity. Secondary productivity on the other hand is the amount of organic matter produced by the secondary consumers such as small fish and crustaceans. Dear learner, next we move to know about biogeography. Biogeography is the studying the distribution of marine species and the communities across the different regions of the ocean and exploring the relationship between this pattern and oceanic and climatic factors. Some of the key areas of studying within the marine ecology includes species diversity. Species diversity is the understanding the diversity of marine species and how it is influenced by the various factors such as habitat availability, climate and human activities. Another factor is population dynamics. Population dynamics is the examining the patterns of growth, distribution and mortality of the marine population and how these factors are influenced by the environmental condition and other species interactions. Next factor, community structure. Community structure is investigating the relationship between different species within marine communities and how this relationship contribute the functioning of this ecosystem. Dear learner, another factor is ecosystem function. Ecosystem function is understanding the roles of different species in maintaining the health and productivity of the marine ecosystem and how changes in the species composition and abundance can impact the functioning of these ecosystems. And last factor is human impacts. Human impacts examining the impacts of human activity such as climate change, pollution, overfishing and coastal development on the structure and functioning of marine ecosystem and developing strategies to reduce these impacts. Dear learner, the study of oceanography is essential for number of reasons including understanding the Earth's climate, managing marine resource, protecting marine ecosystem, improving navigation and safety, and advancing scientific knowledge, addressing global challenges. Dear learner, human impacts on ocean are facing a number of significant challenges including pollution, overfishing, and the impacts of climate change. The study of oceanography is critical for understanding these impacts and developing effective strategies to address these challenges and conserve the health and productivity of the ocean and the life they support. Dear learner, oceans are divided into zones based on physical characteristics including sunlight, temperature, salinity and density. Dear student, the surface zone is an area of shallow seawater, receives the most sunlight. Organisms that perform photosynthesis are located here because it's the only open ocean part and gets enough sunlight to support growth. And another thing is, most marine animals such as whales, sharks and jellyfish are in the surface zone. Dear learner, the middle zone receives very little sunlight and only the blue-green wavelengths. The deep zone contains no light and becomes darker and colder as you descend. Marine ecosystems are diverse and can be categorized into several different types based on factors such as location, water depth and dominant species. Some of the most common types of marine ecosystems are, dear learner, coral reefs are the complex ecosystem that are dominated by coral and other invertebrates and are found in warm, shallow waters. Another ecosystem is open ocean. The open ocean is the largest and least diverse marine ecosystem and is dominated by planktons and other tiny organisms. Estuaries are very important ecosystem in this marine ecosystem. Estuaries are semi-enclosed bodies of water where fresh water meets salt water and are characterized by high levels of primary productivity and a complex food web. Intertidal zone is a very important ecosystem in marine system. The intertidal zones are areas of the ocean that are composed of air at low tide and covered by water at high tide. Dear learner, deep sea is the one of the ecosystem in marine system. The deep sea is the largest and least exposed marine ecosystem and is characterized by extreme conditions including low light levels, high pressure and cold temperatures. Dear learner, next we move to know about types of productivity. First one is primary productivity. Primary productivity refers to the amount of organic matter produced by primary producers in an ecosystem. In marine ecosystem, primary productivity is typically driven by phytoplanktons, which is microscopic algae that convert sunlight and dissolved nutrient into energy through photosynthesis. Dear learner, the primary productivity of different marine ecosystem can vary greatly in terms of both the scale and the nature of the production. Dear learner, different types of ecosystem can produce different amount of productivity. First one is coral reef. Coral reef are among the most productive marine ecosystem. And second one is open ocean is another one of the important ecosystem. The open ocean is also a highly productive, high phytoplankton providing the foundation for the food web. Dear learner, estuaries is another one important ecosystem. Estuaries are highly productive environment with high level of primary productivity driven by the interaction between fresh water and salt water. Dear learner, intertidal zones are also highly productive environment with high levels of primary productivity driven by the photosynthesis of macroalgae and other organisms that are adapted to dynamic condition in these areas. Deep sea is another one of the ecosystem. The deep sea is relatively unproductive with low light levels and lack of nutrients limiting the growth of phytoplanktons and other primary producers. Secondary productivity is the very important productivity. Secondary productivity refers to the rate of which energy is transformed into biomass by organisms that consume primary producers. In marine ecosystem, secondary productivity is important because it determines the amount of energy that is available to a higher trophic level such as predator, fish, crustaceans and mammals. Now we can see secondary productivity in different ecosystem. First ecosystem is coral reefs. The secondary productivity in coral reef is supported by large population of herbivores. Secondary productivity in open ocean is supported by zooplankton which consume phytoplankton by the primary producers in this ecosystem. The secondary productivity in intertidal zone is supported by herbivores such as snails, impets and sea urchins which consume the primary producers such as macroalgae and other photosynthetic organisms. Dear learner, deep sea ecosystem is least productive ecosystem. The secondary productivity in deep sea is limited, which low light levels and a lack of nutrients limiting the growth of primary producer. Dear learner, now we move to know about types of primary and secondary producers. In marine ecosystem, primary producers are organisms that converts energy from the sun and inorganic nutrients into organic matter through photosynthesis. Secondary producers are organisms that consume primary producers and in turn provide energy to higher trophic levels. Dear learner, now we can see the primary producers in different ecosystem. First one is coral reef. The primary producers in coral reef are typically photosynthetic corals and others calcifying organisms such as algae and sea grasses. Secondary producers in coral reef include herbivores such as sea urchins, snails and parrotfish. The primary producers in open ocean ecosystem are phytoplanktons, which provide the foundation for the food web, and secondary producers in the open ocean includes zooplanktons, which consume phytoplanktons. The primary producers in estuary ecosystem include phytoplankton as well as microalgae and seagrass, and secondary producers in estuary include filter feeding clams and snails. In intertidal zone ecosystem, primary producers are macroalgae and other photosynthetic organisms that are adapted to the dynamic condition in these areas. The primary producers in deep sea are limited with low light levels and lack of nutrients limiting and growth of phytoplanktons and other primary producers. Secondary producers in deep sea include filter feeding organisms such as amphipods and bristle worms. Dear learner, next we move to know about scope of marine ecology. Marine ecology studies the diversity of marine species including their distribution, abundance and evolution. Dear learner, it examines the processes and interaction that shapes the structure and functioning of marine ecosystem including primary and secondary productivity, trophic dynamics and nutrient cycling. Dear learner, marine ecology examines the impacts of climate change on marine ecosystem and organisms including ocean acidification, sea level rise and shift in ocean temperature and circulation patterns. Dear learners, studies the impacts of pollutants on marine organism and ecosystem including the effects of oil spills, plastic debris and toxic chemicals. Dear learner, the marine ecology plays a role in management of marine fisheries including the study of population dynamics, stock assessment and the impacts of fishing on marine ecosystems. Dear learner, the scope of marine ecology is a broad and interdisciplinary requiring knowledge from fields such as biology, chemistry, physics, geology and social sciences. Dear learner, this is the end of the topic. In this unit, we discussed types of ecosystem, types of productivity in marine ecosystem and scope of marine ecosystem. Thank you.